along with the other aspects of how the DMR can be used. Of course, it uses the internet at some stage or the other, but people down south, especially Kerala, have been using it and have found it very effective. So maybe if Ashok, if you permit, we will start off with Ajay's presentation that now we have uh, got into the time slot.
Yeah, please go
Is that
ahead.
okay?
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I've started the recording also for this session. So just now,
Okay, Ajay, go ahead.
Ajay, over to you. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. I just thought I'll present with everybody what all I have done so far. Idea is I'm still learning, and it has been quite hardly a few days that I have been playing around with this. I wanted to do this for a long time. Let me know once you're able to see my screen. I wanted to share what all things I have found so far. I also had good help from quite a few hams. I just thought I'll share this journey that I had so far, what all I have found out. And basically, it's a sort of demystifying, and this demystifying is more for me rather than for anybody else. I had to go through this overall journey to figure out how this thing works. What is it used for? Again, the $1 million question, whether this is ham radio in the first place. So that still haunts everybody, and the debate will continue. So with everybody's permission, I'll start the presentation. Please, stop me in case if you have any question. And in case if there is any connectivity problem, or if you're not able to either hear me or see the slides, please let me know. Can I start?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Thanks, Kaka. So this presentation is about demystifying digital mobile radio. That big antenna has got nothing to do with DMR, just a representation. I think I'll start with a small detour. Again, what is a radio amateur's code? This is a ARRL code. This is not the original one. This is adapted. So this is only for information. I think just to remind ourselves, radio amateur is considered. He never knowingly operates in such a way to lessen somebody else's pleasure. He is loyal to the. He offers loyalty, encouragement, and support to other amateurs, local club, the IARU Radio Society in his country. He keeps in touch. He keeps his station up to date. This is all what we do. It is well built and efficient. This is what we all try to do. Friendly. He operates slowly and patiently when requested. Offers friendly advice. Balanced radio is a hobby and never interfering with duties owed to family, job, school, community, etc. And patriotic. His station and skills are always ready for service to the country. We are all amateurs, and the learning journey continues. Some credits. First and foremost, Pune Amsam Amateur Radio Club for always encouraging. Sunil Das, I bought the equipment from him for this particular project. So thanks to Sunil. Karan Bakshi from Delhi, YU2YEP. He's helped me really in configuring the Pi-Star software. What it is, I'll get into it in shortly. He also operates two DMR repeaters in Delhi. There's, by the way, incidentally, one more repeater, which is digital repeater, which is based out of Kerala. A view to RBI. I got in touch with Karan through Bharti madam, and she is also on DMR. And Priyaslo Karya, View 3 BCN from Bangalore, from whom I got the hotspot, and also a lot of information on how things work. The one thing I would like to mention about Priyaslo Karya is he not only sells things, but he's tried quite a few things himself. So it may be the Dorji chip. He would have done it already. He would have tried it himself. So it's not only about selling some products to people, but he usually would have tried. So I thought I'll start with my thanks to all these people. This is going to be an agenda. I hope you are able to see the agenda slide. Introduction to DMR, advantages of digital technologies, how to get on DMR, hotspot versus repeater, typical specs of a DMR handy, what is Pi-Star, color codes, code plugs, stock group, DMR networks, and what is Brian Master. Some of these things I heard for the first time when I got into this, but I think once you plan to get into digital radio, you will sort of hear quite a few of these things repeatedly. With that, I'll get to the next slide. What is the introduction to DMR? Before we start, DMR is only one of the technologies. There are multiple other technologies or competing technologies. D-Star, this is the one which was sort of the standard was created by the Japanese ARRL group. And that is the actual standard which was meant for the amateur radio community. DMR has origins in commercial products, and some of these radios are actually commercial radios which are also adapted for the amateur radio use. The applications have been different, but there are a lot of competing technologies. Yaesu has got its own implementation called System Fusion. You would have heard. Whenever we buy any Yaesu product, it is usually mentioned the wires and System Fusion. But it's more of a proprietary to Yaesu type of product. And DMR, D-Star, and Fusion are the current competing technologies. DMR currently has an edge because of more number of users. That doesn't mean that it is really very great as compared to the other technologies. I am using a DMR setup, and hence I would be sharing more information of DMR. But I would like everybody to keep in mind that you can use these networks or technologies interchangeably. There are also quite a few products which which allow you interoperability. So, for example, if you are having a DMR radio and you want to communicate with D-Star, so those type of things are available. Now, coming to DMR, DMR is an open standard. It came from European Telecom Communication Institute, and it uses TDMA. TDMA is nothing but time division multiplexing access. So it uses time slots. I'll try to keep things as simple as possible, and my intention will be to sort of help anybody who wants to get into digital radio on what all building blocks are there and how to get onto it rather than getting the technology. So the DMR standard uses 12.5 kilohertz channels, and these are some of the things that you need to configure in the setup. So the idea is to have various codecs, convert your voice, which is analog, into digital, and then transmit it, and hence conserve bandwidth, so as to say. 2 points I wanted to clarify here. Can you use your existing handy to get onto digital mode? The answer is no. These handies are different. They are backward compatible. So the handy which I purchased is a dual band radio. It is a UHF VHF radio. It communicates with a hotspot or a repeater using the standard analog technology, and the repeater or that hotspot converts or communicates the digital part using internet. So the answer is that in case if you want to get into any of these technologies, you need to have a different handy. Now, is handy required? The answer is no. You don't need to have a handy if you want to get onto these digital modes. There is a dongle which is available, which is a Blue DV dongle, and Raju Bhai is selling one in India. So this dongle, like our SDR, you can connect to your laptop. You can install the software, and you can still enjoy the digital modes, various digital modes, not only DMR. That is a different type of implementation. Similarly, you can also use a OTG cable and connect it to your Android phone and use DMR on your Android phone. That reminds me, there used to be one picture of what I would say, a smartphone which was circulating quite a few days back. A smartphone having functionality of a handy. I think this is the closest you can get to that technology. So there are various other applications also, and I'll share them with you in a while. What all are possible using the digital mobile radio. Before I proceed to the next slide, let me just take a pause. Any questions so far?
Yeah.
Yeah, they just maybe you may, if you're covering this later, just question is, see motivation, right? Like for example, how does this differentiate with our analog communication? No?
Sure,
What more do you get in this, right?
sure. Okay.
One
Yeah.
question from my side.
Yes, sir.
Suggest the best economical setup for new hams or these things. When they get accustomed to it, they like it. They may go in for a bit sophisticated one. Okay.
Okay.
You suggested about that dongle and this thing, so you can elaborate later on. So they can start with the minimum expenses, have an experience, and then they can proceed further.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Kaka. So I think I'll attempt both the questions in a way they are related to each other. Point number one is for example, in a typical setup, we are using a handy, which is either used in simplex mode, where we are connecting to another hams using just a handy, or maybe your base station and antenna setup. Second scenario is we have a repeater, and a repeater usually connects quite a few distance in a particular setup in a particular city. We've all heard about technologies like Echolink, wherein analog repeaters are connected to each other using internet. So what makes this technology different, or what is a typical use of this technology? Simply speaking, using your handy, you will be able to communicate worldwide by connecting to either your hotspot or your repeater, which is connected in turn to a network of repeaters globally. Now, let me take a use case. Let's say we had this floods in Kerala. When we had floods in Kerala, the people who were actually on the field, they were using a handy, and on 2 meters, they were communicating with a central location, maybe the commissioner office. And from the commissioner office, they also had a HF setup, which was running. Now, one big assumption we are making is, or the obvious question that comes is, what happens if internet is down or your telecom operators are down? Typically, during the floods, this happens in India, which is a fact. So, if internet is down, this is not going to, you will not be able to use this. But think about it now, using this Starlink setup, which is still not available in India. Maybe it may be available in another 2 to 3 years of time. But Starlink, which is a constellation of satellites which is being launched, and similar computing technology is being launched by Amazon and Jeff Bezos, wherein over 1,000 satellites are launched and they are forming a constellation, and they are providing broadband services. So this service is started in Canada already, and they are typically offering 40 Mbps, 50 Mbps speeds. Canada, as you know, most of the area of Canada, though Canada is a huge country, they stay. There are a lot of areas which are geographically challenging. I think India also has got a lot of geographical variation, and places wherein you cannot reach by fiber and by the normal telecom equipment. Earlier also we had to use VSAT, which was an exorbitantly costly technology. But this Starlink internet may be available in near future, and hence internet availability may not be an issue. So in case if you are using a handy, and using this handy, you are connected to a repeater which is connected to internet, which is always connected, then you may be able to also communicate with users who are in different cities or different countries, different continents. The Aries network also, they have got some of these features, wherein it's the local network, or the local 2 meter network or UHF network is eventually connected to a global network using such mesh network of various digital repeaters. So this is one of the use cases. Again, I'm not getting into the debate whether this is a true amateur radio. It has got its own, what I would say, pros and cons. So I'll not get into that. The second question is, Kaka, you asked about the setup. So minimum, it requires a different type of a handy. So if a Baofeng may nowadays cost, let's say 3,000 rupees, the DMR radio will cost something like 14,000 rupees. Typically, that is the current requirement. This additionally has got one more requirement, that you also need to have a hotspot. So the way the communication happens is the handy is using UHF normally, or it can also use VHF to communicate over the air to the repeater or to the hotspot. And this repeater or hotspot gets connected to the global network using internet. So in absence of a digital repeater, what you will require is a hotspot, which is a emulated repeater, let me say, and I'll share some more information about that shortly. So far so good. Is my pace okay?
Okay, okay.
Ajay, you were elaborating something about Kerala. You stopped over there.
Yeah, in Kerala, the network was, people were using a 2-meter network in the last mile, and it was, they were communicating with the commissionerate office, and from there people were coordinating using the HF connectivity. Now, if we assume, or if we consider that that commissioner office has got network internet connectivity, maybe using a satellite broadband, then in that case, you don't need to have HF setup. So you don't need to be dependent on propagation. I'm sure the better good days are coming back, and the new solar cycle is starting, and we may have better propagation. But then still, with HF propagation, you have to be on different bands at different times. So in case if we have such a setup and the repeaters are connected to the DMR or any other digital network, then all across the world, we can communicate using only our handy instead of having a HF setup.
Good one.
UPQ, is it okay?
Roger,
Does it answer
copy.
your question?
Okay.
Roger, copy.
So Ajay, just a question. So what is the ideal setup? Let's say, so does the city does the city needs to have a digital repeater which is accessible through this new kind of handy, which the handy can reach that repeater right across the city? Is it what the ideal setup?
There is nothing. Okay, just hold on. Park your question for a moment. Let's finish the. So you may get some idea, because there is no specific answer for that. But we'll just park that question for a moment, and at the end of discussion, we'll again see what may be the ideal scenario.
One question.
Sure.
One question.
Yes, sir.
Does WPC has some role in this?
No, WPC will have a role, because if you are using a handy which is using licensed ham frequencies, then obviously the ham has to be a licensed amateur radio operator. So you are using your licensed UHF and VHF frequencies. So obviously you need to have a license. In case if you are not using a handy, or if you are not using a radio in the last mile, and it is purely internet based, then WPC may not come into picture, because you are connecting to a radio network using your internet, and you don't have any transceiver per se.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. I'll go to the next slide. So what are the advantages of DMR? Doubling the capacity in existing license channel, because it is using digital technologies, A2D, D2A conversion, and it is using TDM technologies. Backward spectrum compatibility with legacy systems. So this is built onto the legacy system. So the handy is a UHF VHF handy with a DMR system or D-Star system, or whichever system you want to use. Longer battery life and greater power profile. It really conserves a lot of I would say electrical power because it is using less amount. So the handy that I purchased has a maximum power outage of 5 watts, and the battery life is really very high, that I experienced firsthand. Ease of use and creation of data application. I'll come to this. This is quite interesting. Superior audio performance, A2D, D2A. This also has a flip side. So in normal analog communication, if the voice is cracking, you may be able to catch something 4.3, or you may be able to understand 4.7, 5.3 type of a signal report. In this, you will either hear it, or if the communication is not happening, it will just cut off. So that is how it works. There will be no hissing sound, because it is digital standard. A good amount of security is there in though this is a fully open standard, and this also enables various data applications. So you can have a text messaging system which is by default built into your handy. You have GPS, you also have APRS, you can use SCADA and telemetry. So interesting applications. I haven't seen this in work, but what I researched, you can use DMR technology also to control shipment machinery remotely. So that is one of the, I would say, applications. So you can build a lot of applications.
Okay.
I think there are some questions.
Not Naidu. Continue.
Okay. So these are some of the applications owing to the digital standards. Next, I'll go. So these are the building blocks. Here you can see various handies. The handies seem to be similar. If you see, the handies have got one more button in between as compared to our normal UHF, VHF handies, and this is for changing of channels. You would have seen a similar handy in use by the commercial radio. So these are handies wherein you can change the channels using the buttons. You can see the repeater. So there are various manufacturers. Hytera is manufacturing. Motorola was doing this. Then there is another Bridgecom Systems, which is predominantly selling Anytone equipment, which is Chinese manufacturer. Hytera, you would have heard, Hytera copied a lot of Motorola stuff, and there was a big infringement case against them, and they were made to pay a lot of fine also. But Motorola, Hytera, and Bridgecom Systems are manufacturing various digital repeater systems. Here on the left bottom, I've shown a small hotspot. Now, these hotspots, if you see, they've got one antenna, and this is for communicating. Single antenna is obviously simplex, and most of the time they are using UHF. Now, this internally, if you see, all these hotspots usually nowadays are using Raspberry Pi. So they have a small hat which is in use on top of the Raspberry Pi. Let me just see if, let me pause this presentation. Are you able to see this hotspot here? Is this visible?
Yes.
So if you see, this is just a Raspberry Pi, and this is a hat which is fitting on top of this Raspberry Pi. Okay. And then it has got two antennas. The one which I have is a duplex, which I have shown here in this picture down. So this is it's called as a MMDVM hotspot, and it is duplex. It is also got a OLED display, and you can not necessarily, it doesn't need to look this bad. You can also print a 3D case for this. It is available on Thingiverse. So Kaka, that's also possible. This can be configured with your dongle. So maybe I'm using, let's say, a small internet dongle. So if you're in any communication area, you can also connect that to a dongle, and you will be able to connect your radio and communicate. So the basic building blocks, first you need a handy. Again, I'm not Anil talking about that scenario. You can use that dongle, and on your laptop or your Android phone, you can participate in DMR network. So that is a different type of implementation altogether. But if you want to have this handy type of a setup, then you need obviously a DMR, D-Star, some type of a handy. Second thing is you will need either a repeater or a hotspot. So repeater, you can have a centralized repeater for a city, and then you can communicate. Again, you instead of using a handy, you may also have a DMR base station. That's also a possibility. Again, DMR interchangeably, you can change it with DMR or D-Star or ESU. So you can have any of these either base stations or handies, and you can communicate with the repeater, which is connected to various servers globally. In absence of a repeater, what you can do is you can have a hotspot. And again, this hotspot is connected to internet using Wi-Fi. So that is also possible. And you are basically communicating with your handy on UHF or VHF with this hotspot. and hotspot gets connected to internet. This is how it works.
Okay, Ajay,
So
I have a question, quick question.
yes, please.
So this handy communication between handy and this hotspot, yeah, and the repeater is that UHF.
It can be VHF most of the times, but it can be handy with repeater and or the using the license. Uh,
Okay, I think we lost you.
does that answer your question?
No, no, I think we lost you in between. So what you were saying was it can be VHF, UHF, but the licensed frequency, right?
Yeah, it connects on the license frequency either to the repeater or to the hotspot. So the last mile communication is licensed amateur frequencies, UHF or VHF.
Okay.
Okay.
But there's no handy which can directly connect to internet and avoiding this this hotspot.
Yes, so that's the other setup which I was talking. So you can have a dongle. You don't need to have a handy dongle connected to your laptop or Android, and you can participate in this network. But the idea or the reason that this was developed is this is a sort of a digital, I would say, evolution of existing legacy systems.
Okay.
So long as you want to use, so for example, let's say in Kerala, again, I'll take a typical example in Kerala floods. If you had to use some technology, you can't use a laptop, you can't use a mobile phone because that mobile phone may not have internet, but you can still communicate locally with the repeater using either your handy or you can communicate with any other system. So this is how that ecosystem has been developed. So there is a possibility you can do it with only a dongle, but actual application will always require a radio.
Okay.
Can I get to the next slide?
You have to buy the hotspot. Am I correct?
Yes, you have to buy the hotspot. So
you can't make it.
You can. Okay, so this there are two parts to it. You get a ready-made hotspot. The one which I am showing here below on the left-hand side. This is typically nowadays they call it a ZUM spot, ZUMSPOT, ZUM spot, and it is available pre-configured. And you can get those hotspots as well, which are immediately you can just configure it and you can use it. Or you can, if you want to get this hat, you can get this particular hat, fix it on your Raspberry Pi. Inside, if you see, this is a Raspberry Pi Zero, and on top of it, there is a hat with a OLED display. So earlier, there used to be some hotspots wherein the software was coded inside the EEPROM, stuff like this. But now there is another software which is called as PiStar, and I'll come to that in a moment. So most of these hotspots are running a software called PiStar, and usually all these hotspots are made on top of Raspberry Pi. So you can get the entire unit assembled and ready to configure, or you can get a hat, duplex or simplex, put it on top of a Raspberry Pi, and then install the software. That's what I did.
Okay.
This is a hotspot. Yes, somebody was saying something?
Go ahead, Ajay. You were saying something.
Okay. This is a hotspot versus repeater discussion that we were discussing. So you can see here in a diagram, a hypothetical diagram, there is a repeater on top of a hill, and there are two cities, and using the normal repeater, you are able to communicate maybe mobile or maybe using your handy. This is the function of a repeater. As against the repeater, what we can also do is if the repeater is not available in the city, you can use a small hotspot, and this hotspot can be used for your local communication, and then you can communicate or participate in this network using your internet connection and the hotspot.
Okay, Ajay, I have a question. This repeater which is shown on the top of the mountain here, in case of this, is that repeater used only to connect between, say, two cities which are nearby, or the repeater is connected to every other repeater in the world?
Okay, I won't say every other, but there are certain networks to which the repeater is configured, and then there are charges on that. So I would just say global network. Won't say every other repeater, but the digital repeaters are connected to various networks globally.
Okay.
What all type of networks are there? I'll come to that in a bit. I am covering that in the presentation. Any other questions?
No, go ahead, Ajay. Go ahead.
Okay. Sample repeater shown here. So this is what we were discussing. The network server is usually referred to as C bridge. These are very niche servers which are located, and there are multiple networks, and I'll cover Brandmeister and DMRC. So there are multiple networks or network groups to which you can connect. Again, there is interoperability between them. So to keep that complexity away, we can only say that there are there are repeaters. Repeaters are connected to internet. Via internet, they are connected to various servers or Z bridges, and due to that, we can communicate using a small device worldwide. This is a typical spec of a handy. Now this is the one which I have got. So this is the same one, and these are the typical specs. So if you see in this, okay, one thing which I did not cover so far is you also require, for example, if you are going to use a DMR handy or a DMR setup, you need to have a DMR ID, which which there are resources online who allocate you basis of your license information, and then you are allocated a number, and that needs to be configured. So while you are communicating over a DMR network, your radio also will be configured with that. So that is part of security. So where the packets are coming from. So in addition to configuring your call sign, you also have to configure a DMR ID, which is easy to get. You have to apply it and you'll immediately get it. This is the typical specs of a handy 4,000 channels. So what are channel zones and lists and all? I will come to that. Display the DMR ID call sign. So whenever you are seeing a call, you can get all the information. CSV export import. So one of the issue with these radios is there's a lot of configuration that you actually can't do on the radio alone. So you need to pre-configure it, or you need to software configure it. There is a small display here, and I'll come to what this is. So this is the software, and every time you need to do some addition modification, it's simpler to do it using your computer. So this is one of the maybe negative points in this setup. But advantage is that most of these radios are able to, if you see the digital mode part of it, it can have 10,000 talk groups, 250 radio IDs, 160,000 contact lists. So moral of the story is total number of digital users globally, the entire list can be incorporated in your handy. So the amount of memory it has, or the type of, I would say, capabilities this box has, you can actually import, or you can actually store the 100% or the total universe of all the contacts in this particular device. Now again, nothing specific about this ALINCO, and not because only I got this model, but you see any radio which is available on the market today, the specs are more or less same. So they have capability of importing. There are also these databases available free of cost, of course, on the net legally, wherein you can download them, and then you can what I would say, put them onto your radio. So you can do that very easily, and then you can get onto the various networks, and you can communicate. Analog mode I have also given. So this is a typical analog spec that you'll find in any other radio. It comes with a GPS optionally. That's optional. So some models come with GPS, some come without GPS, some have APRS, some don't have. So those type of digital applications are varying from handy to handy. So those specs will vary, but more or less other specs will be more or less the same. Can I go to the next slide?
Go ahead.
Okay, this is PyStar. This is the software. Now, at times, this overall DMR, there are a lot of jokes which are floating. The DMR or these digital things at times becomes very intimidating, and you really are lost on how things work and what all things are required. So, this presentation was one attempt to sort of make it a little simple, and that's why I started off saying that demystifying. This PyStar is a software which is normally used in all the hotspots nowadays. Earlier hotspots had coded software, embedded software, and you could maybe put in some commands and then configure it. But it became very cryptic. This PyStar software is very simple, and the screenshot I have attached here is for my setup. You may see, and then before anybody points it out, the TX and RX frequencies are only for test setup, and they are outside the band. So please, keep that in mind. If you see this TX and RX, I'm using here 438.800, which is out of the band, but this is only used for testing. What all things this PyStar can do? It is a Raspberry Pi based software. And then it can do D-Star, DMR, Yaesu Fusion, P25, NXDM. These are POXAG. If you recall, POXAG and ARFM RDS were the two standards used by the pagers once upon a time in the dinosaur era. But POXAG is still used in quite a few countries. So POXAG can be used. Network status, what all is on. So this is showing that DMR net is on. It's listening to DMR. DMR ID, this is my DMR ID. Which is the time slot in use. So this is what, and then which is the master. I'm using Brandmeister United States. So this is the one which I am using. It has got dashboard, admin configuration, all that stuff. So I'll once we are through with the presentation, I'll take you through the PyStar configuration also. So this is a freeware which is available, and this freeware is used to configure the PyStar. Once you have installed a PyStar, you power it on. Once you power it on, you will be able to access it on the local LAN. So it's very easy to access, and it's very easy to configure. Of course, once you have installed the software, and I'll take you through a live demonstration for that. There is something called as color code. So there are color codes are again a security feature. And this is much like the analog repeaters use CT/CSS. To access a repeater, you must have a program on your on your radio which has the same color code. And then there are 16 type of color codes which are in use, and you need to configure the correct color code in your radio plus your setup so that communication happens. These have been quite these are very small things, but without any of these set up properly, the setup doesn't work, and I had to struggle a lot. Of course, I got good help, but these things can be really very complex. And the reason I added it here is it's only also one of the things in the checklist that you need to ensure that you have properly configured. Next, I'll come to the code plugs. So the software that we discussed some time back is known as code plug, and that code plug software is used to do the configuration. So what all things you need to typically configure in a code plug? So you need to have your radio ID, your call sign, your DMR ID, frequency, power, etc., etc. And I'll take you through the configuration, what all things are involved. And on top of it, you also need to configure various contacts, receive list, channels, and zones. So the reason for doing all this is that it becomes quite simple. If you, for example, if I've got a zone created, and that zone is VU zone, and in VU zone I have various talk groups, and I'll come to what is a talk group. And I have got India as a talk group. So there are talk groups by country. There is a Kerala talk group. There is a Delhi talk group. So all these have combined them under one zone, which is VU zone. So it makes it simple for you to scan, and you'll be able to find your whatever wherever you want to go and have a QSO. It becomes easier. Can I go to the next slide?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is a code plug. This is what all things are there, and this is a typical one. I don't think so. I've seen multiple, what I would say, type of code plugs, and more or less the information which is fed is quite similar. And you need to add all these things. And I'll take you through this in a moment. I'll take you on a live code plug how you can do this activity. And again, you can see I've configured so many. Are all of these in use? The answer is no. The first one I just uploaded them from net, and I'm not even using them. The ones I'm using is this HST India. So this is one. It's got a number. Then Kerala. Then there are some from US and Canada. So these are the active talk groups. So I thought I will use them to do some testing. You need to have a channel, zone, scan list is optional. FM, you can configure your local FM stations. Auto repeater offset. So typical on a analog setup, you'll need to have, is it a positive shift or a negative shift? All that thing you can have it here. Local information, alarm setting, radio ID, whatever radio ID you are using, talk groups, prefabricated SMS. They have given some typical, I'll call you back currently on a call type of things, and you can have your own. Receive groups, encryption is optional. And then these are the digital contact list. So you can have over 200,000 contacts in this particular model. This is how it is. I have opened one typical configuration for New Delhi. So I've given it a name. I've configured the receive frequency and transmit frequency. My hotspot is a duplex one, but for testing, I've kept it on simplex. This is my call sign, color code, which I'm using, it has to match. Time slot, which I'm using, it has to match. Receive group, what I've configured in the receive list. Digital encryption, I've kept it off. Then is it an analog or digital type of a channel? It's digital. Transmit power, mid, high, low. Bandwidth, 12.5K. Transmit permit, you can define here. Scan list is a part of scan list. APRS and all these things. So this is a typical configuration for one of the channels that I have shared here. What is a talk group? Now this is an interesting thing. What you normally want to do is get to a talk group, and then talk group is typically a what I would say common interest group. Let me put it that way. So you can also do a rack queue, on a one-on-one basis on one particular talk group. But there are various talk groups. DMR talk group is simply a way of grouping radio IDs into single digital contact. So I have multiple talk groups configured in the zone. So there are so many talk groups, and they keep on increasing. There could be a local talk group. There could be a local network of repeaters, statewide groups, regional groups, country specific. So most of the countries have their groups. So for India, I think it is 401, so on and so forth. So that list is also available online. So there are various groups which are worldwide. There are English speaking groups and Spanish speaking groups. Those type of groups are also there. For example, a country like Canada. So Canada, they have two national languages. One is English and other is French. So there is a Canadian English group and there is another Canadian French group. So there can be so many groups, talk groups which are created, and it makes it easier for you to pick and choose on where you want to have a discussion with or a QSO with. So that's the concept of a talk group. Now there are two main networks. When I say networks, it's these various group of repeaters and C bridges which are combined. So the older one is this DMR MARC, Motorola Amateur Radio Club, and they have multiple talk groups. And it's like, you have either maybe I have a Tata Sky DTH box and you have a Airtel box, and in my Tata Sky the news channel number, for example, ABP News maybe some 502, and for you it may be some 301. So the same networks are available with different numbers, and you can configure it either way. So you can configure your setup to any of these. Brandmeister is one which is gaining more popularity now, and it's more of an operating software. And then one more thing, if you're going to configure Brandmeister, you can also have a Brandmeister ID, and it will also add additional layer of security. Brandmaster also allows you to connect to the MARC network and other Hytera DMR plus networks also. So I'll show you in the configuration different type of networks available. But this DMR networks is something which also you need to configure. Brandmeister applications, there are various applications which are built into this Brandmeister software. So again, the same things, APRS, you can have SMS, you can have a lot of other applications. So Brandmeister is again a big standard, and now it is gaining a lot of popularity. They have got a lot of talk groups, and the numbers are published. So you may have some podcast, for example, which is related to ham radio. Typically, there is one which is Ham Radio Workbench, if you know this. And they are having a talk group on Brandmeister. So I think it is 3120, something like that. So they have a number, and then you can connect with these people, again, like-minded people, for some like-minded discussions if you want to have, and then you know where to connect and have a QSO. That's all I had to share, and I'll now take you through maybe a live demo for two things I wanted to share. Let me just quickly. I'll just show you the Pi-Star configuration. By the way, this handy has got a USB port, so micro USB. So I'll be connecting it to micro USB, and I'll show you. I'll read the current configuration, and I'll also share the. I'll show you the Pi-Star configuration. Just give me a second. Till the time this loads, any questions?
No.
I'm trying to share my browser. Just a moment.
बजा जा रहे हैं।
Can I share my?
Yeah, showing my brother. Yeah, your brother.
Give me a second.
Ajay, you need to reboot your 5-star.
No, it is on a different network. That's why it is not coming. I connected to a different network. In the meantime, I wanted to show this thing. Code plug. For some reason, it is not allowing me to share my desktop. Anyway, and I'll just open this application and share it. Please give me a second. It's just loading. Let me know if you are able to see my screen now.
Yeah, Ajay, you can see.
Yeah.
Okay, so here is this code plug software which I have installed. Now, if you could see this first part, this is all the analog contacts that I have added. So I have this 145.100 analog and I have, let's say, I'll just open this configuration. Are you able to see this configuration scheme?
Yeah, this channel information, right?
Yeah, channel information.
Yeah.
So this is how I've configured. This is sample analog channel, so there is no major complexity here. It is only the frequency. You can have all these information in this. And
Why
I'll also,
you are putting bandwidth as 25K when it is 12.5K?
no, for analog it is not relevant.
Ah.
It is only for digital that is relevant.
Okay.
Now I'll show one which is from India, for example. This is for the digital channel. So here it is digital transmit power bandwidth. So this is now relevant. This is also earlier it was grayed out. I have configured slot number 2 color code which I mentioned of. So this is something which is required. Encryption is optional. You can have this.
From where you got this color code and slot and all this information?
I'll show you. That's what I wanted to share on that hotspot configuration. I'll just show that. This is this code plug software which I am using, and this actually is known as a code plug.
That is only plus ZX6, sir.
So you have to do all these configurations here, and then here is how you read it from your radio. Then you can do the configuration changes, and then you can write it to the radio. So all this information, if you see some of the other things I would like to show here. This is about this radio optional settings. These are the radio settings also. So whenever I'm doing these settings here, they are getting, I can save this to Vox normal setting, FM, power save. So all these functions, whatever I am doing here, I can write them to the radio. Radio ID list. This is my radio ID and this is my call sign. Various talk groups that I have configured here. Prefabricated SMS. I mentioned this sometime back. Then if there are any scan list that you have created, this will have a scan list. Various zones, NAM zone, VU zone. This is what I was talking about. I've created a VU zone. NAM zone is North American zone. Then what else I would like to show here? This is the typical. These are the typical contacts which are created.
Okay, so Ajay, I have a question. So your radio ID, When it is created, is it independently created or it is always linked to a zone or some country?
No, it is not.
It is
Zone, yeah, it's like my radio ID is like my call sign. So that combination, whenever I'm participating in any zone, any talk group, that will be reflected. So if somebody calls, it actually shows like your DID number. So who's calling that way?
okay. Now, okay, good. So this maybe how do you know, right? So see, is it a always on network? Like this is like an always on network. Like
Yes, yes.
okay. So your setup is always on. If somebody wants to make a call, it will automatically activate, right?
See, I'm using a hotspot, so
Ah,
I don't keep it on 24/7, though I can.
ah,
But I'm not keeping it 24/7 on. If it's a repeater, naturally it will be always on. And then you can check. So if my repeater is on, I can, for example, I'm using that Brandmeister one, and I can go to Brandmeister network and see which all hotspots are on. So typically, what I do is I go there and I check which all view stations are on. So by that I know which all, for example, there's somebody in Hyderabad, view to TBR, Tango Bravo Romeo. He is usually available or current is available. So couple of people who are there, RBI is there. So I can check if any hotspots are on and basis of their ID.
okay. So you can see the real time status of whether that particular hotspot is on or not, right?
Yeah, if it were to be what I would say, a repeater, then I could assume that it's going to be on. But if it is going to be a hotspot, then I need to check whether that is on. Delhi has got Delhi and Kerala, because they have a repeater. They don't need to use hotspots, so they can just switch on their handy and they can monitor. And then anybody talking on that talk group, you'll be able to hear
So
that.
in that scenario, in the Kerala and Delhi scenario, when the repeater is on and my handy is on, so do you know who is on behind the repeater?
No, unless somebody makes a call. See, if you are in a listening mode, then I'll not be able to know that you are in a listening mode. But if you are transmitting, then I immediately know that who's transmitting. Just give me a second. I'll change my network connectivity and I'll get on the same network as that of the Pi. Then I can show you exactly how it works. Just give me a moment, please.
You get disconnected.
I might. I am not sure.
Let me answer the last question. As long as you are SWL, nobody will make out. But the moment you press PTT, that information will go all over the world.
Okay.
Including your call sign and name.
That's right. All details, including your location, everything,
Oh, okay.
even your postal address, if you have keyed in.
Oh.
No, okay, Suresh. So where is it published? Where exactly is published? Where do you see this?
I can show it. Let him finish the presentation.
Okay.
Then on the practical side, I will show something.
Do you have a call book or something like that?
Not required, because it is everything is online.
Okay.
Everything is online, and like your cell phone records are available even after several years. In this case also, you may find them several years, but there is so much of overload in this that sometimes on a network like worldwide network, even if you want to retrieve something 10 minutes before, it will be difficult, because there is a constant stream of people logging in, logging out and all that.
Correct.
Okay. I think Ajay got dropped for some reason. I see him. Network. Tried network. Uday, Raj Hariharan is trying to join.
Yeah, allow him in.
Okay. I think Ajay has gone off, I think, from...
by changing network or something like that. That's what he said.
Yeah, he was changing network. He says he'll try and get onto the same network.
Yeah,
That means you are changing your Wi-Fi network, or you are changing some other network?
No, I think the Wi-Fi network is...
That means you have to keep several Wi-Fi networks at your home?
No, I think he may have created some local network for that. I don't know what he might have done. So, but I think meanwhile while he is joining, see Suresh is also a DMR user, right? Active user. So we can also share some insight while Ajay joins.
Yeah,
In
that's a good idea.
hotspot, you can configure several networks. Like if you are at home, it can be your Wi-Fi, home Wi-Fi. If you go into the car, it could be your hotspot of Jio or Vodafone or whichever network you have. Like that, about 6 to 8 you can configure. So in different network, it will log into the different one. Only thing you may have to just reboot the hotspot. That's it.
Okay. So if you are using your mobile, for example, then you have to carry your hotspot along with that mobile? Suresh?
Muted. Sorry, I was muted. See, if you are using a hotspot in the car, then you have to give it somewhere a Wi-Fi connectivity, right? The network connectivity.
Okay.
So that you can give it by your cell phone.
Okay. And then you have to.
But at the same time, like there are for Delhi, for example, Delhi has got a DMR network. Now, in that case, if you are within the coverage of that network or repeater, then you don't need internet connectivity. You can directly connect like your analog connectors. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So
no, what my question was just now. Ajay displayed one hotspot made from Raspberry Pi, which was on his table.
Yeah.
So if you can use your mobile itself as a hotspot,
yes.
Then do you require that Raspberry Pi hotspot also?
No. You can't use your mobile as a hotspot. You can only use mobile as a hotspot for giving a connectivity to the
internet
modem, to the DMR modem.
Okay, then that means if you are
DMR modem has to be there in the picture if you are not within the coverage of the DMR repeater.
Okay, no, what I am saying, suppose in your car and you are using your mobile as a hotspot or mobile as a connectivity, then do you have to have that DMR hotspot also in the car?
Yeah, you see, this is a terminology difference. When in DMR parlance, when you say hotspot, it means modem.
Okay.
But when you talk of cell phone, then the hotspot is simply allowing you to share the same network with the other users.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, my question again remains. Suppose I'm in car.
Right.
And I want to use my DMR.
Yes.
Using the mobile.
You still have to carry your modem.
Oh, I mean, along with my handy, I should have my modem also there.
Yeah, see, the function of the modem, the DMR handy connects to the modem through the UHF or VHF signal, which is a radio signal.
Okay.
And modem, that is what you call the hotspot, DMR hotspot, that converts it into a internet mode.
Okay, so some handies are not coming with built-in this DMR hotspot.
No, that's why there is one handy which I am using it. What they have done, instead of using a manufacturer's software, some people have written a totally different software because it is all open source. So in that case, supposing I have two handies, then I can convert one handy as a hotspot.
Oh,
yeah. I think he's back. Yeah, Ajay is back.
Okay.
Hi. Let me just share my screen.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me know once you are able to see my screen.
Yeah, we can see.
Okay, so this, if you see here, I have just opened this as PyStar. So on local network, this is available as PyStar. Now, while I'm going through this, so I can find out the IP address also. So even that is possible. And you can see that there was one View2 ONT who was on this talk group 404, which is India talk group. So somebody sometime back was available on this particular activity. Now, in case if I press the PTT of my handy, VU3 Yankee Whiskey Kilo, so this will cause or this will trigger activity here. VU3 Yankee Whiskey Kilo. Now, if you can see, it shows my call sign. in this activity. So DMR times dot 2. So this is showing my activity. Rest of the setup I showed you in that screenshot earlier. I'll take you through the configuration.
So Ajay, so now quick question. Now suppose you have to call this guy, the other guy, right?
Right.
What do you do, right? The other guy.
Okay, I don't need to call that person. I'm in a talk group. So I'm speaking in a talk group. So if that person is still there, he will respond to me. If he is not there, then he will not respond. So it's not a one-to-one that I'm connecting here. It's I'm in a talk group.
Okay. Now one-to-one, how do you initiate a one-to-one call?
Right. Now, in case if you want to have a one-to-one digital call, assuming that that person is alive, I shared on that contact list earlier in the code plug. So then I can directly connect with that person using his contact list, his contact ID.
Okay.
But assuming he's active and live.
But Ajay,
Yeah.
if I am going to be speaking one-to-one, will somebody else also be able to copy what I am saying? The conversation?
Yes.
If you are in a talk group.
Correct.
No.
If you are not in a talk group, then?
No, it depends how you have configured your contact list. If it is a private, it is configured as a private, then nobody can listen. It is one-to-one.
Okay.
But if it is public, then it is like your normal VHF, HF setup.
Yeah.
Where people, SWL can also listen to your QSO.
Specific call. You can
That's right, yes.
Just like specific mobile phone call. Am I correct?
That's right, yes.
Okay. But suppose I call someone in a specific call, does the other fellow get some indication that he has been called?
Yes.
Yeah. He will get an indication.
If his hand is on.
Yes.
If his hand is, otherwise he will not show up on the net.
Okay.
See, typically it's like your caller ID. So you get to know who has called you even before you answer that call. So you get all the details. And in the dashboard I showed, it is also available.
FWN monitor.
So this is the configuration. This is what it is showing. Platform Pi 3 Model B plus. This is a Raspberry Pi. Hostname is Pi-Star. This is default. Kernel, CPU temperature, load, controller software. So what is that I'm using? I'm using a MMDVM host, DVMega firmware. This I'm currently in simplex mode. Now what all features are available in this? DMR. I've enabled DMR. D-Star, Yesu System Fusion, P25, NXDN, all this cross functions is also there. So for example, you want to have a DMR to Yesu Fusion, all these things are also available. OLED on my Pi or on my that hat, I had some issues with the OLED, so I couldn't configure it. But you can even connect a connection, a bigger display if you want. So all those facilities are available. This is a Pi-Star host name. What is the node call sign? This is my call sign. This is my DMR ID. The radio frequency in use, latitude, longitude, this is optional location information. Then what is the modem type, which is specific to the type of hat you're using. This is the DMR configuration. If I were to enable the rest of the configuration, D-Star and all that stuff, then it would show here. So this is the Brandmeister server DMR master that I'm using. BM stands for Brandmeister. Hotspot security, I've added my Brandmeister unique ID. And if there are multiple numbers or multiple hotspots in my place, then this is my DMR ID plus number 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth. Here is the place wherein I have configured the color code. So if I have configured this as color code 1 and I have configured some other color code in my handy, this will not work. So this is where this comes into picture. Then mobile GPS data, do you want to enable all that stuff is there. What is
So Ajay, a quick question here that gateway, see that modem or whatever you call as that Pi-Star gateway. Can you put a dongle there, like this Tata Sky dongle, and then get away from other internet?
You can with an OTP. With an OTP cable, you can put.
OTG cable, okay, you can put that, okay. And it requires power. This does this modem or the hotspot? I am assuming it also requires its own power, right?
It uses 5 volt.
USB, okay.
Yeah. You can key in with a microscope. Let me show it to you, so then you know half the questions will get answered. Let me share my screen, if Ajay permits.
Ajay has dropped again, it seems.
Yeah, in the meantime, I can show you something, so that will get half of the questions answered.
Okay.
Yes, Suresh, go ahead.
Okay. I hope you can see me.
Yes, now we can see you.
Sorry, the cable is little tight. Okay. Can you see this? This I have connected an external display.
Okay.
So this is giving me all the sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello. I think
Yeah.
Ajay is back. Ajay is back.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had some bad network.
No problem. I was just calling you carry on. I'll take up afterwards.
No, that's okay. I actually I wanted to show the rest of the configuration, but the other network is giving some problem. They're installing that Airtel 100 Mbps fiber, so that's not reliable. So I think that's all I wanted to share. I wanted to share the Pi-Star configuration, some more details, but I don't think so that will be possible.
Now the only thing is, Ajay, if you had shown me all these things before I went for DMR, I would have never gone for DMR. Because it's so scary to configure so many things. And even after buying my own DMR stuff, it took me a little longer time to understand how that whole thing was working. So the simple, now I find that if you want to introduce somebody, simple thing is to show them a practical demo. And then it is like, you know, when you buy a car, you don't become an automobile engineer before. But once you have a car, then you know how to change the tire and how to fill up the gas and all that. So when this is another way of looking at it. But if you are on 91, you can press the PTT, then people will be able to see that you are calling.
Yeah, show us some live demonstration.
Yeah, that's what I'm showing.
Yeah, please.
So this is
because you may be seeing it reverse.
No, we are seeing it right.
Achha, you are seeing it right because I'm seeing it reverse.
Yeah, I think that is your view, so it will switch for us properly.
Okay.
Yeah. Just showing some Italy, IZALY or something.
Yeah, but I think, okay. You can press a PTT. Then it will show you your information.
Ajay has to press, no? Okay.
If you are on 91, India, anyone it will take.
India.
Yeah, then it should show up. Yeah, you see this?
Yeah, we saw.
Talk. Now talk. Now talk.
Okay, one second. There is a delay. 1 second. Huh?
Ajay, mute your.
Victor Uniform 3 Yankee Whiskey Kilo.
Beautiful.
Yeah, great.
Sir,
I just wanted to share a few more points. I'll just
Uniform 3 Yankee Whiskey Kilo. This is Victor Uniform 2 Echo Oscar Juliet. How do you copy? Over. You see, it will show you my information also, and it is showing the flag of the country.
Good.
See what you are holding. This is the Pi-Star modem, right?
No,
Oh, is next session display.
no, no. No.
Under that is what? Under that is what?
1 minute. I'll just turn it around. It's an interesting configuration. My modem is behind.
Okay.
It is mounted with a Velcro, and this is sorry. I think I've gone off. And this is a simple mobile stand.
Okay.
You know, when you buy a mobile, which is a folding stand, this on the one with the red light is what it converts it to USB from the OTP.
Okay.
And I think Ashokji is, if you mute it, then you will be able to see this. And this is nothing but a power switch. There is a power switch here. See, I'm feeding in a power. You can see a switch near my thumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is just a 5-volt power. Because why I have gone for this cable is easier for me to reboot the modem. Otherwise, I have to remove the power cable and all that. And you don't have to have this configuration. See, this is now I have separated it. This is what it is required. Now, supposing you want to connect a USB dongle, you can connect it directly here.
Okay. Okay, so then it is become integrated. So you can take a Tata Sky or a dongle and just put it there. Okay.
See, I have disabled the OLED on this screen, and I am using Nexon because it is more informative, and it is on all the time. So if somebody is pressing a PTT, I come to know. Now see, this is a different country now. He's from Italy, and if somebody has configured the address, he'll get a full address also. Let me press my own PTT. Another good feature is built in. As long as somebody is in a QSO, you can't break in.
Okay.
So once this fellow finishes, then I'll press the PTT.
But you can't listen what exactly he's saying.
Yeah, you can. No, it's only my. There's something not correct with mine. Let me. Okay.
Ajay, this requires a full-fledged demonstration in the club to understand
Sir,
exactly what is happening.
So I'll just tell you what happened with me when Sunil wanted to sell, he came up with that Anytone radio, and I wanted to do DMR for a long time, and I said yes, I'll buy one. By the time he got into importing, China ban came into picture because Anytone is more or less all Chinese products. So he said that it is not possible, and I said I'll buy Anytone, which is a Japanese product. I said fine. I was not aware that Anytone is actually a Chinese product. So then I said fine. Then once he got that, I knew that I would want to have a hotspot, and I wanted to have a ready-made hotspot. But in absence of, again, most of the hotspots were coming from China, and that was not available. So then I had to build this Pi-Star hat all by myself, and that is where I came to know about all these intricacies about that. Now, in case somebody wants to quickly get onto DMR, only thing that person needs to buy is a ready-made hotspot with a handy. Now, this Bridgecom systems, they are selling the handy and handy as well as a hotspot in a bundled way, and they will also configure everything for you, and then they'll send it across. So you don't need to do anything. Once your radio arrives, you just switch it on and press the PTT, and you're on. So you can do that very well. But then, because I had to go through all this, I thought I'll share this with everybody. That reminds me a couple of more points I wanted to add. While you're using on repeater, you should ensure that there is a 3-second pause before you press PTT. You cannot immediately break in the way Sureshji was saying. Second thing is after you, I mean, there should be a pause after you have released the PTT again. It will give you a small sound, and that is because it will check the availability of time slot. So the time slot, if it is in use, it will also show as busy on your handy, or if you are using any what I would say, any dashboard. So that again, the next-gen display is a good way to see. It is very clear, but you can also monitor things on a dashboard, which shows you a lot of information. You need not call CQ. That's not is required because you are not on using the ham frequencies. So normally you can directly share your call sign clearly so that other people can understand. And you need to avoid long QSO. So if you want to do some rack chewing, then you better do it separately and not on a talk group, so that it will not obstruct bandwidth for other people. So there are multiple type of talk groups. There are some full-time talk groups, and there are some part-time talk groups. Full-time talk groups are always configured in your system. There will be part-time talk groups which are on the fly. If you switch the talk group, there will be some delay can be expected for synchronizing. And one more factor which adds is network latency, because you are having a global discussion. The amount of time it takes for your packet or your analog voice to be converted into digital, then from your hotspot or repeater to be sent across to the servers and then delivered to the other side or the communicating party, there could be a little bit of delay, so that you need to account for. So that's one more thing I wanted to share. That's it from my side. I think I've covered all the points. Unless there are any questions.